Welcome to this week's edition of New York Now. I'm Dan Clark. Like many others, it was a controversial week in New York as the state's new gun laws took effect. You'll remember that in June, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the state's laws on concealed carry. The court basically said the state's way of giving out those licenses was too subjective. And back in New York, Governor Kathy Hochul and the state legislature responded by passing a new concealed carry law. It designated certain sensitive locations where guns are not allowed and set stricter standards for concealed carry, like training requirements and a look at their social media. Those laws took effect on Thursday. Governor Kathy Hochul.
We don't need guns on our streets. We don't need people carrying guns in our subways. We don't need people carrying guns in our schools. We don't need people carrying guns in our places of worship. We don't need them carrying them into bars or restaurants, because that'll only make people less safe.
But the future of those laws is unclear after a federal judge said this week they might be unconstitutional. Keisha Kluge from Bloomberg Government joins me now with more. Keisha, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So it's a 78-page decision, a lot to digest. The big headline out of it was, well, you tell me.
Yeah, so basically, in this lawsuit, the judge decided to dismiss the case, but without prejudice, which means he basically, and in the decision, he basically says you can refile and you should refile. And he almost lays out in that 78 pages a blueprint for refiling. So basically saying like some of the issues he brought up was the list of sensitive places, which is essentially everywhere, but as Kathy Hochul said, some streets. So there's a lot of sensitive places. And he basically said that the law needs to take place first before they can bring it up in court.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it took the decision happened the day before the law took effect.
Yes.
So he was saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, that now they could possibly refile. And this is interesting to me because so the case is not dead at this point. So what do they have to do? They literally just have to refile the lawsuit?
So they can refile the lawsuit, and one of the big issues is they need to show hardship and show that, for example, the person is at risk of being arrested for holding the gun or carrying the gun without a permit, that there's other issues with it. The Gun Owners of America New York group also needs to show that it's having some hardship with its members in order to do that. And so they can either appeal the decision or they can refile the decision. The lawyers are still, it was quite a lengthy, like you said, 78 pages, so the lawyers are still going through it. But one of the interesting repercussions of this is there's actually another lawsuit in the state filed by Carl Palladino in the Buffalo area about the concealed carry issue. So the question is, will the lawsuits take these lessons learned and then put them into effect in their lawsuits? The state Republican Party and conservative parties have also said they're going to sue. They have not sued yet, but perhaps they'll take some of these lessons learned as well.
So did the judge say in the decision why he thought the laws were unconstitutional? That's an interesting part of it to me, because presumably if they refile and they take the right steps, and if it goes to this same judge, then these laws are struck down. So what did he say?
So I think there were a lot of issues with it. One, he took issue with a lot of the grammar of the law, which was kind of interesting, noting a word missing here, a comma missing here. But he also had gone into, like I said, the list of sensitive places was not necessarily something that falls under the Second Amendment rights and the right to defense. And for example, large public gathering places, not all of the places listed are public gathering places. So that was in question. There was just a host of issues that he brought up that, for example, the state has to be in good standing, and the person is reasonably not going to hurt someone. And some of the language he said was a bit almost like wishy-washy, and they didn't put the right, stronger language in to have this law stand as is, which I think lawmakers were unsure when they passed the package. They were kind of like, we're going off of what we think is okay based on the Supreme Court ruling. and shutting down the original law. And so we're going to try to put something in place. We know it's going to get challenged. Let's see what happens. So there could be some changes next legislative session in the law as well.
Right, and it was a very quick turnaround for them. The decision came out, and I think it was within a week that they passed the law. We are almost out of time. We have about 45 seconds left. You had a story this week on unemployment debt that the state is not paying back, and now it is a burden on small businesses. Can you tell me how it's affecting them?
Yes, definitely. So New York State owes $7.7 billion in an unemployment loan from the government from COVID, which all states basically had. But many of them use their COVID relief funding to pay that off so that the businesses don't have to have that burden. Typically in New York State, when there's unemployment debt, it's actually on the businesses as part of the system to pay that back. Now, because the state hasn't paid it back, the interest is coming due next month. That's about $27.60 per employee that businesses are going to have to pay on top of all of the other additional costs.
Oh my goodness, it's a lot. For small businesses with multiple employees, I mean, they're not doing well now anyway. So we'll link to that story on our website. Keisha Kluge from Bloomberg Government, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.